where would you like to start?
Okay. Uh, I don't think it's at all in any way possible, just from my own experiences.
Can you tell me what those are? Like, what would be your best proof of the globe that you have?
Going out on the sea 30 miles out offshore on a fishing boat, and you can't see buildings that are 20 stories tall
Okay, let me
through a
let me let
telescope.
me, let me address that. Um, so so
Also,
the let's do one thing at a time, and
yeah,
then I'm going to show you why you can't see buildings that are 20, 30 miles away, 40 miles away. One thing that happens is perspective. You know, things get smaller and smaller as they go into the distance. On a
yeah,
globe, you would have a dropping horizon, which you think they're going behind, but a globe requires there to be a 6 foot drop at just 3 miles. So a 6 foot tall person standing at the edge of calm water shouldn't be able to see the water beyond it, but we can see the water much farther beyond it. Now that's using globe math. Just a oops, that's not what I'm looking for. A simple example of that would be this. This is the camera is 1 foot off the ground at 9.4 miles, according to globe math, not our math. This is globe math. There should be 59 feet of curvature, but not only can we see the entire structure, we can see the water for dozens of miles beyond it. So that tells us right there that it's an optical thing that we're seeing. So let me get another one for you over. So here's a building that if I had the video for this, you can't see the building at all. It's gone. It's just an empty horizon. But when you zoom in, you see the building, but the bottom floors are missing. That's interesting. You would say, okay, it's over the curve. But if you notice, all of these balconies are the same height, but you can see that they're getting compressed. And this is an atmospheric optical thing. When we, so so what I say is, imagine my finger was a wave and my face was the building. Could my finger block half of my face? No. But if my finger was halfway between you and my face, it could almost wipe out my entire face. But so these tiny little waves here create a false horizon, and everything just gets compressed behind it. So let me show you a quick thing, and then we'll go back to you. If we look at this is a little experiment I did in my kitchen. We call it my flat earth kitchen. So let me show you. Here it is. So I'm going to show you this line here. This line is the path of the sun. And if I asked you if that was level, you would say yes, and you're right. But we're looking at it from an elevated, a celestial point of view. This here could be buildings, city skyline, mountains, or just the atmosphere, the cloud deck that becomes opaque. I have a camera on the other end of the table. This little sun, did not drop below it. It was always above it. But the camera on the table is going to show you the other point of view. If I showed you this first, I'd say, is this line level? You'd say, no, it's going down. And I'd say, does this sun go below this horizon that looks to be at eye level, but we know that it's higher because we saw it from the other angle. And as it just goes away, looks like it's going behind an eye level horizon, but could be mountains. This could be cloud deck. Now watch it compared to a real sunset. Here's the sun going down. You think this is the horizon, but look, it's going behind something here. I call that the atmospheric deck of opacity. If I zoomed out, you would not see the difference between this apparent horizon and whatever it is that the sun is going behind. Now, this could be going behind the mountains. We don't know because the light from that mountain doesn't seem to reach. But I know for a fact that that is atmospheric density. One more thing, and which will help drive the point home. This is a spot in France. It's called Aluja, France, and it's a famous viewing spot because out here is Mount Canigou, 175 miles away. But on 2 days a year, or twice a year, maybe for 1 or 2 days, there's people that take world record photography and they could see Mount Canigou. According to globe math, from this elevation, the top of Mount Canigou, which is a very tall mountain, should be a mile below a physical curvature. Now, why can't we see Mount Canigou? One reason is because the light that's bouncing off of Mount Canigou can't push back through the thickness of the atmosphere. It's like trying to look across a swimming pool 100 yards. You can't see the other wall. Even though the water's clean, you can't see the other wall. But twice a year, when the sun lines up with Mount Canigou, as it moves beyond it, due to perspective, because this mountain is above their viewing level, all of a sudden you can see Mount Canigou, and the very top of Mount Canigou over here, the tallest point, should be a mile, more than a mile below the curve, but we can see it. That tells you there, not that the Earth is flat, the Earth is 100 times bigger than they're telling us, or it's flat. The problem is we can see so far with infrared now, with converted infrared cameras, that the Earth would have to be 1,000 times bigger. I forget what it is. The radius of the Earth is just under 4,000 miles. We would need a radius is from the center of the Earth to the surface, right? So if this is the radius, here's my curve. We would need a radius for the distances that we're seeing. We would need a radius. I'm getting my numbers now. Over 1,000 miles. Wait, 400.
Besides the point.
Yeah, it's huge. It's like beyond. It's like 1,000 times bigger. I forget the exact number, so don't quote me on that. So we can see too far. That's the first problem. There's many other problems, right?
I don't know. The whole sunset video that you showed, that in my understanding of all, like, because I have incredible eyes. I mean, I can see pine needles on pine trees. You know.
Do you know what the angular resolution limit of your eye is? I didn't until I learned about it. The angular resolution limit of your eye is 0.02 degrees if you have perfect vision. So anything smaller than an arc size, this is 90 degrees, and 0.02 degrees, your eye just can't see it. So if I held a penny right here, you can see it. But if I move the penny, I think it's 150 yards away, no one can see it because its angular size is too small. Okay? So things disappear into the horizon because of angular size. So let me just show you. Where is it? Hold on a second. I have a.
No, I understand angular size. Like I understand half of that.
So when you said that, why can't I see the city skylines? It's because they're too small. So
but even when you bring up like a telescope,
you can zoom them back in. But as I told you, unless even on perfectly smooth water, you can't see it. We're going to redo this experiment. We took a iPhone in a Home Depot that has perfectly smooth cement floors, huge, the biggest Home Depot in the country happens to be right down the road from me. And so we put a brick in front of the camera, and it filled up the whole lens, of course. And then we dragged that brick away, and before we got that far, the brick disappeared. You can't see it, okay? And then we lifted up the camera, and we could see it, okay? And then we put the camera back down and we couldn't see it again. Then we stacked 3 bricks on top of it and we could see the top 3 bricks, but not the bottom brick. And then we dragged it farther and the second brick disappeared. Now, you could say that the floor is curved, but it's not. It's an optical thing. And there's no waves. There's no atmospheric distortion. There's none of that compression going on. This is just how our eyes work. So here's an example of that. So real quick, this is a matchbox on this table, and here it is. But when I zoom out, its angular size and the glare off the table hide it from us behind an imaginary optical horizon. So it's gone. You can't see it. You could think that it's over the curve, but when I lift the camera up, there it is, and I can see the table just beyond it. When I bring it back down, it disappears. And not only then can you zoom in and see it. And you said you were on a ship. Were you in the military or just on a ship? Fishing. Okay. So we have military gunner guys out there that say that that testify that they can light up another ship 100 miles away with a pencil thin laser beam, surface to surface, 100 miles. Okay. At 100 miles, there should be 6,600 feet of bulge in between them. That's over a mile tall. And the same thing with submarine captains on the bottom. They say they can shoot sonar out and see another submarine over 100 miles away. There would be a mountain over a mile high in between them. So you'd have to believe that the sonar is climbing over, bouncing off, coming back, and going back to the submarine, which we know is impossible. We also have microwave test. You can go look this up yourself. And by the way, don't believe anything I'm saying. I'm giving you information. Go verify it yourself. Microwave towers. They say they require line of sight to work. Well, they have microwave towers going like 300 miles in some places. Okay, that is absolutely insane. But they're able to. The microwaves can push through the density of the atmosphere and see each other. So they're lying right there. So here's a video I wanted to show you. So right here, you can't see a ship, right? And what you do when you zoom in, you increase the angular size. And as you increase the angular size, anything in the distance gets bigger. And all of a sudden, you can see the ship, right? So watch as I zoom out, which is the same as the boat going away. This boat's going to disappear from the bottom up. These little waves are blocking it. It's moving up. The entire thing disappears. And a glober would say that's over the horizon. Well, it's not. Its angular size is too small. The wave front edge is hiding it. The wave front edge is just the little waves in the foreground, just like my finger can block out half of my face, when in reality, my face is much bigger than my finger. It has to do with perspective. So again, I windsurfed across the Atlantic Ocean from Newfoundland, Canada to Weymouth, England. I was on a ship for a long time, windsurfing out there. I couldn't see crap. Earth looked flat to me. And we also see in a circle, right? When you see in a circle, what would that be? I have to reorganize this one because I get confused. When we see in a circle, when we look into the distance, we can only see in the same distance in all directions, right? So if I was here and I could look forward, I see that far. I see the same distance in all directions. So if I'm standing right here, that is how I see. So I'll flip that over. And this is the limit of my vision. Limit of my vision is where the sky and the ground meet due to perspective. That's as far as you can see. Unless, of course, you can zoom in and increase that angular size, then you can see farther. And to the point where its angular size is too small to see. Perspective brings it together. The problem is if I drew a line across a tangent to my 12 o'clock view, I'm really seeing in a circle, and our ball programming tells us that's a sphere. We're seeing in a circle, like putting your head in the middle of a hula hoop at eye level. That is the limit of your vision. It's not a sphere. We see in a circle. Okay. Yeah. By the way, I was adamantly. I understand
that. That's completely believable to me.
Okay.
And that would make sense to skydiving. When you go skydiving, it looks like the horizon is curved.
Yeah, it does, because that's how you're seeing. The problem is,
it makes complete sense that you would have a limited vision in terms of like distance and perception. So that makes complete sense to me.
The problem is, skydiving videos, they're using GoPro lenses, which are fisheye.
Personal experience.
I'm in the sky.
What's that?
I'm actually in the sky.
Yeah. So, but you're also looking through curved goggles. But the problem is you're not skydiving from 127,000 feet. This is 127,000 feet. This is completely flat and stationary. So if we look, if you remember do you remember the Red Bull jump? I'm sure you're a skydiver.
I've seen that. The Red Bull jump definitely has a fisheye lens.
Yeah. So even Neil deGrasse Tyson admits this is all New Mexico, right? Because we look and we see the rivers and everything. It's all New Mexico. So that, and then whenever you see a curve, if you have a picture of a curve, put it on a globe and see how big how big that curve is. It's absolutely insane once you actually compare it. And
lens for sure, I know.
It's a fisheye lens. When he opened up his the door,
that's still curved. That's the funny part.
Well, here's the thing. As you go up, you can see farther. As you can see farther, the horizon should drop. This is still at eye level. You think it's curved, but you're actually seeing the limit of vision. This is not a fisheye lens. The funny thing is, when we look at, let me get back to this. I'm going to show you, let me just pull this up. So he opened it up. This is at eye level, okay? Right. But the thing is, when he took off from the ground, we got the same shot. So here he is, and here it is. It's at the same level. He went up 127,000 feet and the horizon did not drop. It's the same. The higher you go, the farther you can see, the more the drop should be. So if you look at an airplane, when next time you're in an airplane, skydiving or flying, because I don't know how high you're jumping from, look out the left window, look out the right window, and the horizon is right there at eye level. Draw a line, and it comes right to your eyes, when in fact it should drop down massively. The drop from 39,000 feet should be 78,000 feet below you. This horizon should be 78,000 feet. You never jump from 78,000 feet, but the horizon should be 78,000 feet below you, but it's not. It's at eye level. It's right there at eye level. Crazy, right? These are things, by the way, don't get pissed. I got pissed. When I found out about this, I was like kicking and screaming, being dragged into a lake of alligators. Because everything that we've been taught is a lie. And the thing is, you've never been shown any proof of the globe. You've been told by a liar in a bow tie that the Earth is a globe, that ships go over the horizon. You've shown a model of a ship being dragged over the horizon. You've seen the three-masted ship disappear behind massive waves in the foreground. Watch that video again, and it's edit, and they keep lowering the camera to make the ship disappear. You've been told lies, and you never bothered to verify them. When I say you, everybody, including me, never bothered to verify them. So when I went into this, I said, this is fucking ridiculous. I'm going to disprove the globe. I'm going to disprove flat Earth and prove the globe and put an end to the people sending me stupid flat Earth stuff, right? Because I was doing a podcast and people were like, Dave, you got to look into flat Earth. I'm like, no fucking way. You're an idiot. And then I tried to debunk it. I really tried with a closed mind. And, 6 years later, here I am talking to you.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You want to address some other points that I have questions about?
Please do. And I like that you asked it as a question. Ask it as a question. How is this possible on a flat Earth? Go ahead.
So what is your understanding of the upper echelon of the atmosphere?
That's a great question. So before I answer it, anything above as high as we can go or anything beyond the shoreline of Antarctica is unknown, right? We can speculate, we can do experiments, we can listen to testimony, but we don't know because we can't go there. We had a NASA whistleblower that said the highest they can get is about 20 miles. And then they're not allowed, even though they have the technology to send craft up higher than that. They can't, they're forbidden, not by like any extraterrestrial force or anything like that, just by the heads of NASA. They're not allowed to do that. So when you look at NASA, we can show that they're liars 100 ways. All you got to do is find them lying about space once, and you can unwind it to we never went to the moon. So,
honestly, I don't believe we went to the moon.
Good for you. Good for you. That's a good litmus test.
And so, the upper helisphere, the upper sphere, the atmospheres, the thermal temperatures are just outrageous.
That's what they tell you. You have no proof of that whatsoever, because the higher up you get in the atmosphere, the colder it gets. And that's because the sun is not a thermal. What's that?
You're proving it.
When you get up to even higher spot, it's even hotter. Like the radiation would make it hotter.
Have you been there?
Yes. No.
Okay. Yeah. So here's the thing. We're told this by NASA, the liars. Okay. We're told this by NASA, the liars. And it doesn't make any sense. So wait, I was going to show you something that was really cool. And maybe I'll show you this first. So this is whenever we watch NASA or SpaceX trying to launch a rocket, it goes up, it curves out, and it crashes, and they show us a cartoon of something going into space. That happens every single time. And then if you watch any of those launches, in the first 15 seconds, there's at least a half a dozen movie edits. Edit, different camera, different angle. And then they show, look, there's rockets going up. There's fire shooting out. And they don't show you. It literally could be somebody holding a friggin' blowtorch in front of the camera. It looks so crappy. But the only time we get a real uninterrupted video is from when an amateur does it. Here it is. So this is called the Go Fast rocket. It shut off in Arizona. Arizona. And I have it a little sped up here, but it's spinning around. We got a camera pointing down, and there's actually a camera pointing sideways. And it went up and up and up and up. And now if I had the sound with this, which I don't because my OBS doesn't work with sound. It hit something. It went into something thicker, a thicker medium. Our NASA whistleblower told us it gets thicker and thicker until it becomes solid. All right. And then it was doing this weird floating thing like you see here. But the more interesting part to me was when it flipped sideways, we could see the moon. That's the moon right there. Well, the moon was over New Zealand at the time this happens. So if the Earth was a basketball and Arizona was on the very top of the basketball, the moon is underneath the basketball. How did this rocket see the moon if the Earth is a sphere? That there alone proves.
On this one, because to me, to be dead honest, that almost looks edited.
Well, it's not. It's not. You can go watch. Go look up it's called the Go Fast rocket. It was public. It was live. It was filmed everywhere. Just go look at it. And again, good for you for saying that looks edited. Go prove that it was edited or not, and you can.
Yeah, because like I don't know, there's something about the pixelation and that just seems a little defaulty on me.
There's 100 videos of it on the Red Bull site. There's articles. There's all sorts of stuff. So you can check that out yourself. So let me ask you: Does this look edited? Is this hold on? Is this a real rocket launch, or is this a hologram?
It doesn't look like a hologram.
It doesn't look like a hologram. Where's the smoke path? Why does some rockets leave smoke paths and some don't?
What was that?
Why do some rockets leave smoke paths and some don't?
Fuel percentage, the different types of fuel that they're using. There's different percentages that they use for specific things, and based on atmospheric pressure and temperature. There's a lot of things that would make sense as to why they would leave a smoke path.
Or perhaps this is a hologram. Okay. So if you watch this, we saw these weird lights, these weird boxes that look like spotlights on NASA's lawn. And through a bunch of pictures, researching it, we were able to see a logo on it, and we looked it up, and it was from a holographic projection company. Something weird is going on, and it's very strange. Have you watched any of the rockets rockets land vertically?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's absolute insanity to believe, a Harrier jump jet with 4 stabilizers can hardly land. This thing falling out of the sky is just absolutely insane. I mean, and every time they do it, it's coming down, camera goes out, and then all of a sudden it's landed. Every single time the camera goes out during the landing.
Not every time. I've seen a few live.
You haven't never seen any live because you've seen some edited video afterwards. So this is called predictive programming. In 1959, we had this. This is from a Russian movie from 1959 about landing on a drone ship. And this is happening here. Now, you've been to see this one here on the right. There's 5-foot rollers out there. It's blowing like 25, 30 knots out there. And this thing's falling out of the sky. And this little flame comes out and stops this 40,000-pound gigantic, 10-story high tube from falling and lands it upright on a raft that you'd have a hard time standing up straight on. Absolute insanity once you look at this stuff. And again, it's coming from NASA, right? I mean, have you watched, do you believe that we have a space station?
Trying to stand a straw up on a raft and then you standing up on a raft. Like if you were to stand like a heavier object, it will have more balance and stability than if you would put like a straw standing up on a raft.
I understand, but this, 40,000 pounds, or is it 40 tons? Either way, it's coming out of the sky, falling at 1,000+ miles an hour, and a little flame comes out of it, and it manages to balance upright and land on a raft in 30 knots of wind. I'm sorry, but you're not thinking it through if you think that's a possibility, right?
Right.
And so, do you believe we have a space station?
I haven't seen the space station, so I have no objective ability to.
Good. So that's excellent. So let's just look at a couple proofs that the space station is full of crap. So here's one. This is they're talking to kids, and they're always balancing things around. So here is this woman is using this. That's not the. What do I got here? What happened to my?
Balls in
Oh,
space.
this is the. Oh, yeah. So I have to find the. Hold on. Let me zoom forward here. So this woman is just doing all of the stuff. And there's always an edit. Sometimes they're on a zero G plane. Let me get the shorter version on this.
Zero G plane's the only time their hair looks legit.
Yeah, right. And why would they let women with super long hair up in space, where hair is going to be floating everywhere? Think about the bathroom. Particles of crap and piss are floating all over the place. The toilet alone proves that the space station is nonsense. So here she is. This is a real ball. It's filled with helium. Got that neutral balance. This is a fake CGI. Watch again. It just shows up. And now she's manipulating it. It's a CGI object. She's looking at a lens, at a screen behind the camera or contact lenses, and she's manipulating stuff in real time. This is known technology. It's not even secret technology. And that's what they're doing. And they have screw ups all the time. Another one is Chris Hadfield. The Chris Hadfield. Yeah, I think that's Chris Hadfield. No, that's not Chris. Whatever his name is. Space not his name, but he's showing how he made a coffee cup out of a piece of plastic. But watch the color of the coffee get separated. This is a CGI object. Okay, the coffee color got separated for just a little glitch in what they were doing. Right. Another one is like, hey, let's. He's upside down. He writes it up. And this is Chris Hadfield. He's going to be singing a song. The other guy was Don Pettit. He's going to sing a song. And so they're in different rooms behind green screens. And this guy's holding a microphone and he misplaces where Chris is and sticks a microphone inside his neck. Okay? Inside his neck. That is insane. Right? That's insane. I mean, that just shows you that they're editing this stuff. Here's one. Watch this guy's head. It's transparent. Edited because this is on a zero G plane, but there's no right hand turn on a zero G plane. What's that?
I've seen that on standard footage, the transparency part. On my camera, I've even taken videos here at that. It becomes transparent and then can be corporeal.
How about this? Everything that's floating
like that.
Everything that's floating glitched out at the last minute of their auto stream. Just the things that were floating, nothing else. Just the things that were floating were on a different layer, and it glitched out, and they quickly cut away to mission control. Right? So,
yeah,
what's that?
I would. Yeah, that's fair. Again, I'd have to see raw video files for all this stuff.
Again, you can look. I'll show you. Your wife will show you where to see all that stuff. She has it on the app.
Like raw. I mean, a lot of stuff.
This is from NASA's channel. Go to NASA's channel, and you'll find this stuff. We find it all the time.
Don't even have to trust YouTube specifically. Like, it's NASA.
Yeah. I have a new one which I'm trying to find. Where is it? It's
But like,
go ahead.
This doesn't help me with anything. All this, because like I'm already like questioning the ability for mankind to be in space as
awesome. So we'll move forward from here.
My understanding of science of the atmosphere and radiation particles, and like even if that were even possible, like my whole question was like the upper echelon of the atmosphere, like where do the stars lie, where did the sun lie, where does the moon lie,
in
all
the firmament.
How far does that go? Because
so great question.
How do you explain meteors and meteorites?
Excellent question. Let's answer that first. You're doubting our ability to go to space. That's good, because space travel is meant to keep the globe lie. That's the whole reason we went to the moon, to make you believe that we can go to a physical object, a ball floating in space. It's all nonsense. Nobody's ever been to space because space doesn't exist. So if you believe in the globe, you believe that we live in this pressurized atmosphere adjacent to a vacuum. Okay? That's impossible, right? That's impossible.
I don't think it's impossible. And I don't think that's the way to explain.
Let me ask you a question. So what's holding the air down? The gravity? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, because you have, atoms and particles, and based on gravitational pull, it's going to get thinner as the farther away these particles are.
And it's going to get thinner and thinner and thinner as you go up until there's no particles, right?
Right.
That okay. So hang on. Let's
I'm sure there's like some sort. I don't know the number, but I'm sure there's some sort of a point where they can't go any farther without because it's based on the gravitational pull, based on the atomic weight. So I'm sure there's like a maximum amount that they can go out or be within. So there's probably a limit line that would make sense.
So you're saying theoretical nonsense. Unfortunately, I'm with you, but just
it's theoretical.
It's theoretical. So let's put it to the test. Let's put it to the test. So they tell us, the science elite, gravity's stronger next to Earth, and as you get farther away, it gets less and less. Right. So your belief is that it's holding on to the air down here, and the air gets thinner and thinner and thinner because it's all being held down low, and we get to the point where it just goes from thin to nothing, and it's holding on. So gravity is holding all of this air on. It's spinning it with the Earth somehow because it's holding it. But a summer breeze can blow left and right and up and down, and butterflies can fly, and I can hold my arm up. But the Earth gravity holds on to trillions and trillions of tons of water upside down. That doesn't hold weight with me, but let's put the gravity to the test. I can, with my lungs, which doesn't compare to a Tor 17 vacuum, which we can't even create on Earth. The vacuum of space is a total vacuum. We can't create a vacuum here on Earth. We need cement and lead walls like 10 feet thick at the NASA chamber, the vacuum chamber, and they can't even get it to that much of a vacuum. But with the weak power of my lungs, the weak vacuum, I could suck water and air up and away from Earth right here where it's the heaviest. So that doesn't make any sense to me. If you had a room above you, and let's pretend that room, all of the air was sucked out of that room, and there was a valve coming through your ceiling, and you opened up the valve, what would happen? All of the air in your room would equalize into that room, and it would share. It would just equalize. This is testable, scientifically provable. Okay, so saying that the Earth is holding onto the air adjacent to a vacuum is just not understanding actual physics and believing theoretical nonsense.
Well, I mean, there's also temperature that would have to be involved too. But yeah,
temperature, you cannot demonstrate high pressure next to low pressure. In your world, I can have a shoebox with air in it, and then I can get a suction machine and suck all of the air out of the room, and the air would remain in the shoebox because gravity is holding it in the shoebox because I'm holding the shoebox upright, right? That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen, right? But in your world, the gravity would have to hold the air in the shoebox. Something to think about. Let's move on.
Okay, another question.
You're asking about the stars and the sun and the moon. You want to hear what we think?
I would like to understand the constellations.
Yeah.
And how one side of the Earth will see specific constellations and they rotate, and how they rotate. It doesn't make sense.
Great questions. You're going to be a flat earther before we're done with this call. Okay. So in the heliocentric model, besides nothing exploding and becoming everything, you have to believe that we're corkscrewing and spiraling through space. We're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. That's faster than the speed of sound. So when you watch the sunset, even though you feel stationary, you think you're falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound, which is making the sun appear to go down because you're falling over backwards. You also believe that you're orbiting the sun at 66,600 miles per hour. Okay? You're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour. And somehow all of the other planets are keeping up on a flat plane with you. They're all flat. You know, science says our solar system's flat. It has to be flat because it's over flat Earth. We'll get into that. So you believe all these motions are happening. So this is the hypersonic track sled. It's going to go by at Mach 8.6. I encourage you to pull this up on YouTube. Just search hypersonic track sled. This way you can hear it. The sound is scary as it goes by. Watch it again. Mach 8.6. Right? You can't see it. But you have to believe that we're going 10 times faster than that in an elliptical orbit, speeding up and slowing down as we're spinning 1,000 miles an hour. Okay? You have to believe that we are chasing the sun at 100 times that speed in an elliptical orbit, again, speeding up and slowing down. But when we go out into nature, which doesn't lie, men do, we see stuff like this. Okay. This lake, nature doesn't lie, tells you that it's not moving at all. Now, Neil deGrasse Tyson, the failed actor to claim to be a scientist, tells us that the spin of the Earth, the centrifugal force pushes the water to the equator, and it bulges 14 miles high. This is what science tells us. And I call science scientism because it's all pseudoscience nonsense. 14 miles high. When I fly from America to South America across the equator, that means I have to triple my cruising altitude to skim over a hump of water at 14 miles high. Plane flies about 5 miles high. I have to climb, which I never feel myself climb, to skim the belly of the plane over water. Never happens. Okay. The Maldives Islands, look them up. There are islands that are like a foot, maybe 2 feet above the surface of the water on the equator. Where's this bulge? Where's this bulge? And where's the best viewing spot of this bulge, which is like taller than Mount Everest? There is no viewing spot. There is no place on Earth where you hang a plumb bob over water and it's not perfectly square to the surface of the water. There's no place. But they tell us the equator, there's a mountain of water 14 miles high.
I mean,
Nonsense. Yeah.
I have no information on that. I can understand why it would be and why it wouldn't be and how it could be possibly proven and how it couldn't be possibly proven. So like, I don't have the ability to have a opinion on that because I don't have.
And here's the thing. What your wife, what's your name?
Kimberly.
Kimberly. And what's your name?
I'm James.
James. Kimberly has been studying this for how long?
It was first introduced to me in 2018, and then it took me a couple years to really even fully accept it.
Okay. And I've been researching this 24/7 since 2015. Okay. So I have a little more experience. It's okay. And here's the thing. Don't believe me. You just admitted that you don't know. Like, you don't know until I just told you the speeds and the Earth. Do you know how far the sun away?
I mean,
how far is the sun? How far is the sun?
What was it?
It's changed multiple times. So
it was 7 million miles. It was 3 million miles. Now it's 93 million miles. Hey, you seem like a smart guy. Let's talk about angular size. So the sun, the sun is like, if it was, we had made a little model here, we'd use a yoga ball for the sun, and how big would the Earth be next to a yoga ball? Size of a marble, maybe a BB.
Grain of salt.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Grain of salt. Perfect. So let's say I move the sun. Let's say I move the sun 93. I moved it literally a mile above the Earth, just for model purposes. When you looked up, the entire sky would be the sun. This is what it would look like, right? Essentially. Yes. Okay. So then we move the sun away. What happens when you move something away? It gets
smaller.
So we move it 93 million miles away, and it's about the size of a coin held at arm's length. Agreed? So it reduced from the entire sky to the size of a coin. Now, what if I doubled the distance to the sun? Could you see it?
It would be very small. Very
small. You're absolutely right. And if we 3 times it, its angular size would be less than 0.02 degrees. And you could not, it would be tinier than the smallest star. You could not see it. Now, here's the thing. There's also the thing called the inverse square law of light. Every time you double a distance of something, it's 1/4 of the brightness. But we're going to leave the brightness out of it and pretend that somehow it can focus its energy like a laser beam rather than energy dispersing, getting bigger and bigger and filling that bigger and bigger circle as it goes away. Let's just pretend it's the same. We're going to give the sun a free pass on its brightness. So just to be safe, I'm going to move it 24 times farther, so there's no doubt that there's no possible way that we can see it. 24 times the distance of the sun is 3 light hours. Okay, 3 light hours. Now, and then we're gonna. This is gonna lead into the why the seeing different stars in different parts of the world and the rotation. So at 3 light hours, the sun is magnitudes farther than our eye can see. That we can all agree upon that. That's scientifically provable. It's not a theory. Okay. Now they tell us that Polaris, which we all can see, where are you guys located? What state? California. You can see Polaris at night on any clear night, any time of the year. You can see it all year long. They tell us it's 48 times bigger. It's really 46, but I'm going to do 48 for the math. 48 times bigger. So 3 light hours times 48 is 6 light days. Okay? You with me? Right? 48 times 3 is the number of hours in 6 days. Okay? 24 hours in a day. 24 and 24 is 48 times 3 light hours. 6 light days away. We can scientifically prove that Polaris, being 48 times bigger than the sun, is also equally unseeable. If it was 48 times, if it was 6 light hours away, it could not be seen. They tell us Polaris is 433 light years away. Even if it was light hours, it would be ridiculous, but years. Okay. And we can see it with our naked eye, and it's bright enough to be able to see it. That's insanity to believe that. That's actually not insanity. That's ignorance, because you never thought it through. I just showed you scientifically proving that we could not see Polaris. So what's going on? What is that? What is the deal? Here's the thing. And then we'll get into why we see different stars. We sent up a balloon in Arizona at night with high-def cameras looking up this time, not down. And we could see all the stars before we even let the balloon go up. I wasn't there when I say we, a group of flat earthers. Okay. And it went up, and what you would think is it was a clear night. The higher it gets, the brighter the stars are going to be. Well, what happened when it got to 50, 60, 70,000 feet, all of the stars were gone. You can't explain that in a heliocentric world. And I can only theorize what's causing that in a flat earth world. But in a heliocentric world, that is absolute proof that it's not heliocentric with distant stars. So why do we see, so was your question, why do people in,
like, let's say if you're in, you know, I mean, you have the entire,
let me ask the question for you, because I know what question you're going to ask. You're going to say, why here in the north do we see Polaris, but people in the south cannot see Polaris?
Correct.
Very good. Have you ever been to say that again?
Then you have to explain like north and south and how magnets work.
You are just leading me down the greatest path ever. I thank you for making my job super easy. So let's pretend we're in a fictitious room, 10-foot high ceilings, and we have recessed lighting in random patterns, and those are the stars. And we're standing next to each other, and we're like, oh, look at the stars and whatnot. So now expand that room to the size of a city, 10 miles wide, whatever it is. I send you 5 miles away. Well, guess what? The ceiling is going to merge with the floor, and I'm not going to be able to see you at a mile away, maybe 2 miles away, right? It's going to merge with the floor. So you're 5 miles away. I call you on the cell phone. I say, hey, look up. You're seeing completely different lights than I'm seeing. And we don't even have any atmosphere that's gonna merge together, and then the stars are going to go behind that atmosphere. Okay? We don't even have that. That's a fact. And I was in Las Vegas, the hotel, I think it was the Bellagio. You go to one end of the hallway, the lights in the ceiling are literally touching the floor on the far end of the hallway. That's just in a hotel. Okay. So the stars of the luminaries that we see in the sky are fixed in their position. They're close. And as they go farther away, they get lower and lower. Just like if you're on a street with street lights, the street lights over your head are at the same height as the street lights. Where's my thing? Here's
same perception. Like,
yeah.
in perception.
So here it is. Street light high, street light low, but these are all at the same level. And it's the same way we see the sun, moon, and stars. They just get compressed into the atmosphere. Now, this thick line here is atmosphere just getting, when you look across the atmosphere, that's the thickest. When you look up, you're looking through much less atmosphere. Let's say the atmosphere was, a mile high, whatever. You're looking up into clearer and clearer air, thinner and thinner air, as we just discussed. But when I look that way, I'm looking through 100 miles of the thickest part, and that becomes thick, right? That cloud deck gets pushed into the horizon. I could watch, when you have a nice cloud deck of spotted clouds, the clouds over my head, 10,000 feet, whatever they are. But I look over New York City, which is about 25 miles away. The clouds are touching the water. Okay. But I know they're at the same height. but they merge together, and anything above that goes beyond it, anything above it that goes beyond it, is just perspective. That's why it goes away. That's why we see different stars. So let's talk about circumnavigation and how magnets work and how compasses work. Compasses work on a level, okay? So here's the flat Earth. We have a magnet in the center. Now, this is a boat or an airplane, whatever, and the compass needs to point to the north. So it's pointing to the north. So I'm trying to push this compass west, and I have to keep correcting to the north, to the right. As I'm going west, I have to keep correcting. Same thing for east. As I try to go east, I have to constantly correct to maintain a heading of 90 degrees.
Is that an accurate description of a flat Earth map?
It's the best we have, and it's way better than the globe.
Can you explain a direct flight from South America to Australia?
100%. We'll get to that next. Okay. Look how happy your wife is.
This is the best questions. Like,
it's Flat Earth 101. And by the way, listen, you're not stupid. You were just indoctrinated like I was. I asked the same freaking questions. You're actually asking better questions than I asked.
I would also like to understand like the
one question at a time. The what?
The size of everything. So like if you were to put like a ruler for specific sizes of like, say the size of Australia compared to the size of like
Yeah. We'll get into that. So save that question and we'll just finish this. So now right here, I'm going to dead reckon west. So dead reckoning means I'm going to look at my compass, 270 degrees. I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to drive, and I'm not going to correct to the north to maintain my heading. And as soon as I start going, I'm heading south. South is every direction away from magnetic north. South is every direction away from magnetic north. Now, on a flat Earth, on a globe, I should be able to go from Santiago south and pop up over in Australia or New Zealand. Okay. So here's what happened. Nobody has ever gone south and popped up on the other side of the world. It's never been done. Now, it's been lied to and faked, but it's never been done. South, 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 it goes away, never comes. It should pop up over here as a globe. Now I'm heading north, north, north. And as soon as I pass the North Pole, the compass does a 180, and now I'm heading south. Every straight line will bring you to Antarctica. Every straight line will bring you to Antarctica.
I mean, there is said to have been. I obviously wasn't there, so I can't verify the truth of it. But there's a team of people who have technically said to have sailed and have video footage of around Antarctica.
Yeah, 100%. And what I'll show you what happened there. It's called the Antarctic Race.
Yes.
Yeah, it's called the Antarctic Race. And what is not showing? Hold on. Bam, bam, bam.
My friend went to Antarctica.
Yeah, no problem. People go to Antarctica all the time. Okay. So the Antarctic Race didn't go here. You know, I need a better one. Antarctica. So the Antarctic Race, they would make you think that they're going right around here. And this is 13,000 miles. Okay. But in reality, they sailed above 50 degrees, which would make it a even longer race on a globe. But on a flat Earth, it would make it a shorter race. So the last okay, so let me finish. So these sailboats that do this race are the most high-tech sailboats. Their sails cost, $100,000 per sail or whatever it costs. They're ridiculous. These boats go 35 miles an hour in a nice strong breeze. With almost no wind, they'll go 10, 15 miles an hour. These are the best sailboats ever. And so the only way that you can measure your distance at sea is by GPS. Guess who runs GPS? The liars at NASA. Okay. Guess who runs all the radar? The liars at NASA. Right. So these boats, they follow their course, they follow their GPS, and they make their trip all the way around, and they're going all the way around here, all the way around, and they come and they say, okay, according to the globe, we went this number of miles, which is like 25,000 miles, whatever it is. Maybe it's even less than that because it's below the equator. Maybe it's like 20,000 miles, and then they do the math on how long it took them, and they're averaging 3 miles an hour. 3 miles an hour. I walk faster than that. Okay. But they believe it because they believe they're on a globe. And maybe they just didn't even do the math. But when we do the math, it doesn't make any sense. So there have been some explorers that have tried to circumnavigate, and one of them is Captain Cook in his boat. Where's my Captain Cook image? Maybe it's under circumnavigation. He went around Antarctica, and it took him 3.5 years, and he logged over 60,000 miles. 60,000 miles. Okay. Well, the equator is only 24,000 miles. On the ball, he should be 13,000 miles. They should be back to where they started from, but he went over 60,000 miles. And that makes no sense. And now nobody is allowed to actually do that. You're not allowed to explore Antarctica. As a matter of fact, the Antarctic Treaty doesn't allow you to bring any fuel beyond 60 degrees south. So this pink line is 60 degrees south. You can't even see Antarctica from there, and you're not allowed to go there. And there's 7 islands that are equally spaced all the way around, including the Falkland Islands, that have military bases run by the Crown. And anybody that crosses 60 degrees south will be, and there's videos of this happening, will be shot at. Well, airplanes, drones, ships, warships come out, and they will turn you around long before you get to Antarctica. Now, you could pay 10, 20, 30,000 bucks or more, go on a trip right here to this little peninsula. They'll show you some penguins. They'll show you some icebergs. And that's it. And you're not allowed to explore the outer space. Outer space. What's out here? We can only speculate. Maybe there's more land. Maybe there's more oceans. Maybe there's more worlds. Maybe there's extraterrestrials on the extra terra out there.
So, a real big
Go ahead.
question I have
Yeah.
is the amount of surface space that would be required to create an outer ring of ice, and then the amount of people it would take to maintain an entire perimeter.
Yeah. So I'll explain that. So
a surface space that would be greater than all of the Earth map
There's a lot of
combined.
countries in this treaty.
100%. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to answer your question. So this is the ice wall. It's not an ice wall. It's just the shoreline of Antarctica. They tell us Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. Okay. Why are they telling us that? I was like, Antarctica is a continent at the bottom of the ball. Maybe because it's the highest, it's the heaviest, and that's why the ball is upside down, which is nonsense. But Antarctica is the highest land on Earth, right? And large bodies of water at rest need a container. If you had a pond, the edge of the pond is where the land is higher than the water. And if you don't believe me, dig a trench lowering the edge of the pond and the water will just flow. Well, Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. It is the container of our world pond. Our sun has melted out, our small local sun has melted out this pond. And that's why it's cold in Antarctica and it's cold in the middle, because our sun only migrates in between the two tropics. I'll show you that in a second. But I'm going to pull up my app here. And I'm going to show you how they guard Antarctica. Now, they have buoys all along the coast there that form a mesh network because there is no GPS in the south. There's no GPS in Antarctica. Compasses don't work in Antarctica, but they have a mesh network. And once you go into this thing, you're hit by, by a destroyer comes out. I can show you a video too. Some fishermen that tried it. You're a fisherman. Maybe I will show you that video. But if I go in here, go into the images, let that load. So in Antarctica, a funny thing happens when I do this. So that's the wrong one. We'll go for this one. Oops. So why can it do that? All right. So right there, these are the islands. Remember the Falkland Wars? You might be a little young, but why are they fighting over this war? Over, I think it's off of South America. Number 2, is that the Falklands? Yeah. And so these are all military bases run by the Crown. You don't believe that we can monitor this amount of space? Absolutely, we can. They've got drones. They've got balloons. They've got all sorts of stuff. Do you know how many balloons NASA launches in Antarctica? Tens of thousands, carrying satellites up to 8,000 pounds. Okay? So that's how they do it. And all the countries in the world have signed on to this treaty since 1959. And you can't even question the treaty until the year 2041. Name any other treaty that has held the test of time like that. There are none. And the reason that we have this treaty is because we have to protect the penguins and the ice. Okay, that's nonsense. If you look when Admiral Byrd was exploring Antarctica in the 40s and 50s, I was watching a video the other day, and the announcer casually says, off the stern is a pod of pilot whales, each one of them containing enough oil to be worth over $2,000. Okay, they said it like it's nothing. Environmentalism wasn't even a word back then. Okay, but we have to protect the ice, but we can cut down the Amazon, the lungs of the world. All of this is to keep you in a prison for your mind. So you don't know where you live. You don't know who you are. You don't know that you're at the center of creation. You don't know what a magical place this is. And you don't know the power of your mind. Okay. That's the whole reason, because if everybody woke up to where they are, the true creation of this world, then they would lose all of their power. Let's say everybody watched this discussion and everyone in the world goes, wow, I agree. Well, the elite are done. They're finished. Governments have zero power. Governments have zero power. It's just in our imagination that they have power. Okay? So go ahead. Oh, let me show you how the seasons work and how the sun keeps go ahead.
So like, another thing about that map right there, the speed of the sun would have to be faster on the outer rings.
Absolutely is. Thanks for asking. Another winner question. We're going to talk about that in a second. So the sun is the hour hand. Wherever the sun is, it's noon. It's noon in Western Australia right now. Okay. And it's midnight over here.
Pause it real quick.
Well, go ahead.
Is light finite based on a direction of where the light is shining from the sun?
Another great question. We'll
showing on this map right here that light is farther based on like the east to west model.
Yes. So what I'm showing you is this outer yellow line is the Tropic of Capricorn. The inner yellow line is the Tropic of Cancer. On December 21st, the sun migrates all the way out to the Tropic of Capricorn, and there is some sort of reflective dome where when you bring the light towards it, it wraps around. Remind me to show you an actual experiment where we can demonstrate this actually happening in reality. So when the sun's out here, the outer south has really long days, but not sunlight. They have daylight. There's a difference between daylight and sunlight. And then 6 months later, when the sun migrates into the Tropic of Cancer, that's when we have our summer because the sun is close to us, right? And the sun, now you notice this light is kind of wrapping almost like in an oval. And then later, where are we at? June, July, August, September. During the equinox in September, the sun is over the equator, and the amount of wrapping that it has and not kind of performs equal days and equal night. The equinox, think about that. So when in our summer, well, in December, it is in December.
My question.
Go ahead. What's the question?
Like, basically, what I'm asking is like, so you can see right here if you pause the watch thing, whatever it is.
Go ahead. I can't pause it because it'll jump back to the current time. Go ahead.
So the distance from where the sun is to now what is 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
That distance is, I mean, if you were to put like a scale.
Are you talking about the speed of the sun when it's outgoing over Capricorn versus the speed of the sun?
The scale of the light from basically where the sun is now at 2 and the light of the, based on this, is going down to 11. Yes. So that scale, if you were to measure that based on a scale, basically what I'm understanding is that light is only able to stretch a certain amount of distance laterally and not vertically or at all.
Right. Because I'll explain that.
Light is stretching based on this model.
Yeah.
It is like 4 times the amount of distance laterally than it is vertically.
Well, we can't really see the vertical measurement.
Yeah. So let me answer that. It's a great question, and you're actually thinking. I appreciate that. So when we look, we see these sun dogs and the light wrapping. This is, if I had the video, it's better. But we're just holding a lighter, and as we bring it closer to this wall, the light wraps around. Here, I got a better one to show you. So if and by the way, looking up at the sky, the optics of the sky are no way to prove the shape of the Earth. So, day and night. So let me, where is it?
I guess the only way to prove this would be to have like a big circular room and a small light.
Absolutely. I can show you that.
So I've been in Alaska when it's daytime 100% of the time, and then when you drive down south to
100%, totally agree.
I drove from Alaska all the way down to California, and
absolutely
the amount of difference in light.
It's 100. You don't realize it, but you're describing a flat Earth. So this is time and date. Just put on a flat Earth map on the AE map. Okay, it's showing you the equinox right here, and it's actually showing you the actual light and how it works. And this is showing you, this is just basically going over the course of a year. So let me try to find the spot in this that'll show you. So now we have this is just a dome. We have an outside light outside the dome where I believe the true source of the sun is. And as I move it in and out, you'll see that it kind of mimics this light. Now, when I bring it in, Alaska's got 24 hours of sun. When I bring it out, the light wraps all the way around. Do you see that? It's wrapping around the dome. And the same thing happens with this. Again, the optics of the sky are no way to prove the shape of the Earth.
Is that a light shining down onto a dome?
Yes, it is. So let me explain what I'm theorizing here.
The sun is outside of the dome?
I believe that the sun is within or above our personal atmospheric dome. And this is the longer discussion. You need to watch some videos to understand what that is. But right here, I have a dome on top of a white rug, and I'm just moving a light across. And as I move the light across, the sun rises and sets, and then it goes down here, and it just doesn't go below it. It just stops and fades out. So watch it again. I'll bring it back, and you'll watch the sun appear on the horizon, and then it rises, and then it goes away, and then it sets. So that's interesting. So let me show you. And I showed you my flat Earth kitchen, how it just goes behind the optics of the sky, right? So this is called the sun fade out. I filmed this in Connecticut. You can only film it looking over land. It has to be a super clear day, and it has to be.
Can we hold on 1 second?
Yeah.
I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Go for it.
It'll be quick. Thank you again for taking this time to answer all of these questions.
Yeah.
I needed the help. I'm like, I know there's answers for all of these, but I don't have the words. I just have the theological side of it. That's all I can do.
He's just clinging to his ball like most people do. It's all right.
Hey, I'm loving this so much. I've been watching through a bunch of the interviews lately, and it's
So here's the thing. You have the advantage because if he thinks about it, he'll become a flat earther, and then you guys will be harmonious. You will never become a glober, and you're going to fight about this till the day you die. So that's the ball's in your court. So
to speak, but not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to make sure that I was wearing my appropriate shirt and everything for the day. It's a reference to the dome. So had to stick to it. But yeah.
He's watching the water spin down the toilet, wondering if he's in Alaska. I mean, in the north or the south right now.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that one.
Hey, it might come up. I've been waiting for the one with the speed regarding.
I didn't answer the speed, the speed difference, and one way to prove that. All right, you're back. So I have my drone up on a super clear day. It's below freezing. It was like 31 degrees outside, and I'm watching the sunset. And I watch the sun, and over 5 minutes of time, you see there? Where'd he go?
Yeah, he's here.
Over 5 minutes of time, the sun went down, 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 down. And then instead, if we're spinning, it would go down, 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 down. And we just have to keep going because we're spinning. But that's not what it did. All right. So what it did is it went down, 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 down. And then it stopped right here. And it sat there for 10 minutes. Right. And I'm filming this. My friends at the beach saw it set from the bottom up because of perspective and the trees 5 miles away. And it just sat here. And what happened was it kind of just went away. And this is a super clear day. and it disappeared into the soup of the atmosphere. It literally faded its light. The brightest thing in the sky could not push through, and it just faded out. Now, the first thing that I would say if I were you is that looks fake. That's CGI. But I've proven it 100 times. I filmed it 7 different times. And
I've seen that happen.
What's that?
I've been on the ocean on specific days based on
a clear day, and you see it happen. Well, if you watch it, the sun's going down, 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 down. It shouldn't stop. It would have to go the same speed the whole time, and it would be gone.
I've seen it do it.
Great. Well, on a clear day, you could have an atmospheric deck that it literally is 10,000 feet high that's merged with the horizon. Here's your atmospheric deck. The sun just goes behind it, and that looks like a horizon to you. It's just going behind that layer. Like if we're sitting out in a field and there's a 5-foot tall fence, maybe 5 feet, 10 feet from us, and there was a 6-foot person standing on the other side of the fence and their head was sticking over the fence, we watch them walk away and their head would disappear from the bottom up, right? But now if we moved 20 yards away from that fence, the top of the fence wouldn't be up here, like we saw it a moment ago. The top of the fence would be at our eye level. That person, as they walked away, their head would still disappear, and it would look like it's going behind a eye level horizon. Okay, that doesn't happen on a ball. It doesn't happen on a ball.
I've seen atmospheric pressure on the Earth just in general. You know, like I can see
atmospheric pressure. What are you saying?
Like, you know, so if you're looking at something, you know, 20 yards away, you can see the waves.
Oh, absolutely. The miraging hides stuff all the time. Absolutely. So, you know, and that's why, you know, the on a globe Earth. So let's say on a globe Earth, we're required to have a physical horizon, right? Once something goes below the physical horizon, there's no way to zoom in on it again, but we can see things that don't go over physical horizon. Now, let's say the physical horizon, based on our height and what we're looking at, 10 miles away. 10 miles, there should be 66 feet of curvature. Okay. But it could be less than that because of the atmospheric conditions. We might see the horizon only at 4 miles away because we can't see that far. But it would have to have a physical horizon based on the curvature formula, no farther than. It could always be shorter due to atmosphere, but even on the clearest of clear days, you can't see past it. But on a flat Earth, we can because it's optical. Okay. It's optical, and when there is no physical horizon, and when the distance that we're seeing require a radius of the Earth 100 times bigger than
physical horizon. There's no physical horizon, right?
Not on a flat Earth, right?
How do you explain a lunar eclipse?
Excellent question. So,
what blocks the sunlight from the moon?
Well, here's the thing. So the eclipses is a lunar eclipse is when
a body blocks light.
When the Earth, they tell us when the Earth blocks the light, right?
Correct.
Okay. So I'm trying to find my So if where am I? I'm over here. All right. So we got the moon. The moon's over here. Moon's over here. Sun's over here. Now there's been many times called a Selenian eclipse where the viewer can see the sun and the moon above the Earth. So if my fist is the Earth, it would have to come up in between to cast a shadow on the moon. However, it's even worse. It would have to come in between. Get a light.
Yeah.
Forget the scale. Get a light, get a ball, get a light and a ball, and then get another ball and hold it below. Both of them are at the same level, whatever. They're at height, and hold that ball below it. It's not going to cast a shadow until it comes within. You draw a line from the light to the ball. It has to come and touch that line to cast a shadow. However, that happened before that, and the shadow came in from the top. The shadow came in from the top. So what does that tell me? Does that tell me what's doing it? No, it does not. But it tells me it's not the Earth. And the other problem is when we see the shadow of the Earth, the supposed shadow of the Earth, a sphere cannot cast a curved shadow on another sphere. You know what happens when you take a sphere and cast a shadow on another sphere? It's a straight line. And when you take a flat, straight edge and cast it onto a sphere, it's a curved line.
I
I don't
mean,
think either of those are what causes the eclipse. I think it has to do with polarization, with the light that's coming in. Way more advanced than we can get into this discussion. But the idea that it's the Earth is proven. It's not the Earth. Not telling you what it is. Not saying that I know what it is. But there's lots of ancient cosmology that talks about what it is. Now think about this: we're spinning and corkscrewing and moving. If you go out tonight and look at the stars in the sky,
yeah,
and chart them, next year, same night, same time, every star will be in the exact same position, except the wandering stars, also known as planets. Every star will be in the exact same position. Do you know how many miles we've traveled? The Earth has traveled 4.4 billion miles. Okay, 4.4 billion miles. And all of the other stars are moving in all of their different directions, but somehow they get back to the exact same position, kind of like they're fixed in a disc or in a dome, and the dome is spinning around us, and that's how they come back to the exact same position. Here's another crazy thing. Okay, you have the sun and the moon are. The sun is 400 times bigger than the moon, right? So the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon, and you got your moon. It's small, right? But somehow the sun happens to be 400 times bigger, but it's 400 times farther, and they look to be the same size.
right.
And then occasionally the moon will block the sun and you get a total solar eclipse. The
Yeah.
odds of that happening in a heliocentric beehive, crazy, insane universe, solar system, galaxy are a quintillion to one. But hey, it happens. Okay. The odds of it happening again are magnitudes worse than that. Here's the problem: there's eclipses every single year somewhere on Earth, total
Right.
solar eclipses. And guess what happens after 18 years? The entire pattern repeats again. Does that sound like a beehive with
Eh.
gravity pulling, or does that sound like a fixed clock, a perfect system?
I mean,
Okay.
that makes sense based on my understanding of the astrological heliocentric model, that it would be a fixed clock as well.
Yeah, well, the heliocentric model, that's you're wrong there. So the heliocentric model, you know what the three body problem is? The three body problem is scientists can take the best supercomputer and say, all right, I got a sun, it's got this much mass, this much gravity, and I got a planet, and it puts it in orbit, and they can predict what it's going to do forever. Right? They know exactly what it's going to do no matter what, because they can calculate all the gravity. Then you add a moon or a planet to that system, three bodies, the entire thing goes into chaos mode. No computer can figure out what it's going to do next. That's it. Right? Meanwhile, we got the sun, a burning ball of gas in a vacuum. Think about that for a minute. That's the end of the heliocentric system right there. And its gravity is holding on to all of the planets that are in a straight line, on a straight plane for some reason. Why are they on a straight plane? Why aren't they all coming in all different directions? They're all on the same plane, okay? And all of the planets have their own gravity because they're all holding on to moons and multiple moons or single moons, whatever. And none of them interfere with each other. We had all the planets lined up the other day, and none of them tugged anything out of position. All of the planet gravity only holds on the moons. All of the sun ignores the moons and holds on to the planets. If the sun can hold on to Pluto, why doesn't it pull on our moon? When our moon comes around towards the sun, how come the sun doesn't pull it away? And when it goes away, how come it doesn't slow it down? It doesn't, because gravity is bullshit. Okay? It's all nonsense. And they changed gravity from Newtonian gravity to Einsteinian bending of space fabric, all pseudoscience nonsense. It's crazy. They're hiding who you are. They're hiding your true power. They're hiding what this world really is. You know what you should do is watch some of the Tartaria mud flood videos with your wife. Watch some of them, and then you'll understand, right? Because less than 200 years ago, there was a worldwide advanced civilization here, and there was some sort of cataclysm, and everything was reset. The world was buried in mud, okay? And the people that dug us out took over, stole the world from us, and they're hiding the truth, right? This is just an image here. What's going on there? Why am I behind that? There we go. And if you look, they're literally digging the world out. There's tons of pictures and stuff. The architecture that they had back then, you know, shows that this world, there was an advanced world here. And there's buildings wherever, in every city, everywhere. There's old Tatarian buildings. And when you understand that they've been lying to us about everything, you know, in the 1800s, it wasn't the Wild West. It was an advanced civilization here, right? We're actually coming out of the reset in the late 1800s, but they're hiding our history. They're hiding who you are. They're hiding where you are. They're hiding what you are. And that's it, man. Oh, and did I answer all your questions? Wait, we answered.
No, there was the one about the flight time.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You're gonna do flight time from Australia to South Africa.
Yeah.
From South America, which is a flight. There is a direct flight. And
yes,
then if
absolutely.
Like flight from, let's say, LA to Paris. And if you were to put it on a scale based on the current model of the flat Earth model, the scale and the flight times are too similar and too far apart at the same time.
So, do you know how fast an airplane can go?
Depending on what airplane.
Yeah, but you don't know, because the only way to tell how fast an airplane is going is, you know, if it's flying over land and you can actually measure it. The flight, the QE14 or whatever the number of the flight is, from Santiago to Australia, flown by Qantas, is the only one that makes that trip. So when you fly from Santiago what's that?
Yeah, they don't go over land though.
Let me explain. Yes, they do. And sometimes, and sometimes they don't always have to go over land, the direct flight. But this is how they go. They go all the way up here, all the way across, and all the way down. And if you want to go to Western Australia, instead of just cutting across the bottom side of the ball, they go all the way up, all the way over to China, Singapore, and down. And if you look at that, to get to Western Australia, you go up, across China, Singapore, and down. It's a straight line. Now, let's talk about that for a moment. If you had a ball, right? Northern hemisphere is on the top, southern hemisphere is on the bottom. You got the equator going around the middle. You with me?
Yeah.
And if I would say you got an airplane and you can go from any northern location to any other northern location, any combination you want, would you ever cross the equator? Think about it. Get a globe, chart it out. You would never cross the equator. And guess what? You're right. No northern flight origin to a northern flight destination ever crosses the equator. Okay. But for some reason, it would be the same on a southern flight. But for some reason, the southern flights cross the equator multiple times sometimes. So let me find that. On here. So this is a flight. It goes all the way up to Amsterdam and then all the way back down. Why did it just cut across here? Okay. On a globe, that's shorter, but it goes up, it crosses the equator, and then it goes over. That's not even a good one. I'm going to show you some better ones. Okay. So here is this one. This is a very good one. So going from Montevideo, whatever it says, to Perth, it goes all the way up to Los Angeles and all the way down. That makes no sense. Why didn't it just cut across here? It's shorter. But instead, if you look at it, it crosses the equator, which you would never do on a ball. It stops here in Los Angeles, and then it goes all the way down over here. Okay? So that makes absolutely no sense. Now, the argument is, well, they got to drop passengers off. Baloney. There's plenty of people that want to take...
I would honestly think it'd be more based on money and flight restrictions based on certain countries. But yeah.
There's no flight restrictions. That's not at all, because they do have it. This is to go to Lima, Peru, from... where is that? I can't see it. Machu Picchu to... I covered up for some reason. Whatever. It goes all the way up here. Is that Los Angeles? And then all the way back down. Why didn't it just cut across here? And the reason is because this is the path that it takes.
Right. There are not actually that many flights that go directly across the...
Well, you're right. There's not. And then the direct flight, the Qantas flight from Santiago to Australia or just to Australia, there's on one direction, it's 5 hours longer than the other direction. And it's not because the Earth is spinning, because it actually does it the wrong way. And it has to do with it flies at like 40, 45,000 feet, and there's these wind currents that it can get. It gets like a 200 to 300 mile an hour tailwind. Plus, the plane goes faster. There's only one model airplane. I think they have 4 aircraft, or maybe there's only 4 pilots that fly this one model airplane. And it has 7 layers of heat resistant paint on it, right? When we were researching this airplane, it boasted of how it had 7 layers of heat resistant paint. Why does it have heat resistant paint? Is it going faster than they're telling us? And it only needs to go maybe 700 miles an hour, get a 200 mile an hour tailwind, and everything works out perfectly. Many times that direct flight is canceled just before, like within a day of it taking off. And that's because the winds aren't cooperating. And when you look at the winds on a flat Earth, they make perfect sense. Perfect sense. Right?
I'm so intrigued on that whole theory of like, well, I mean, not theory, but like, why would they paint it? Like,
why would they put heat resistant paint on it? I'm with you 100%.
Like, does it like,
it goes faster than they're telling us.
Does it change the way the atmosphere affects the wet? What's it called?
No, it gets hot.
No, I'm talking like, so like in terms of like, if you're in a boat, they have the wet drag, like, you know, the wet drag, I think is what it's called, or something. Drawing a blank on it right now.
The hull speed. You're talking about the hull speed.
It's talking about the amount of surface tension. So like when you have like something in water, so what's on a boat is wet. That's what's causing like the surface tension. Same with an airplane.
So it doesn't matter whether that's it or not. It's going faster. You're questioning the speed. Good for you. You should question the speed. So let's look at this one. So this flight from New York to where's it going? Hawaii? Yeah, from New York to Hawaii. It had an emergency landing in I can't see, for some reason it's covered up, in Seattle. Why did it land in Seattle? Seattle's like 1,000 miles out of the way, right? But on a flat Earth, Seattle's right on the line in between the origin and the destination. Okay, so how about we look at another one, right? This plane did an emergency stop like 1,000 miles out of the way in Moscow. Put Moscow on the flight path according to the flat Earth map, and it's right in line. Okay, and the emergency landings, they got to land. The flight paths are controlled by NASA. The GPS is controlled by NASA, and the flight radar is controlled by NASA. And we already know that NASA lies. So
yeah, I would have to have like
right. Well,
and witness things. For
somebody. Well, you know what? I'm with you 100%. Here's another one. It's emergency landing in Calgary, 1,000 miles out of the way, or whatever that distance is. I think it's about 1,000 miles, and Calgary's right on line. Well, here's the thing. You want to document it? It's already been documented for you. You can get the free book online. It took the information from about the emergency landings, where they were in the flight, how long they were in the flight. It's all documented, 16 emergency landings, and every single one of them landed in a place that, when charted on a flat Earth map, is directly on the line that they were traveling in between. And they landed thousands of miles out of the way, 1,000 way out of the way. If you look at it on a globe map, makes no sense.
But okay, one more. I guess technically one more question.
All right, good, because I got to wrap it up.
Scaling.
So,
like, if you were to say, like, if you were to drive across Sydney drive across Australia based on that map versus driving across the United States.
That's your typical cartographer.
Yeah. So that's a great question, and the maps are all not what they say. Like, the South America, the countries are way bigger than they're telling us, and Australia. I'm not convinced that Australia isn't the size that they show us on the AE map, because it makes perfect sense. And one way we can look at that is
you can actually legit drive from one side to the other, though.
You can, but it's not in a straight line, and there is serious questions about it. But like when you look at, and I've done this, so I have the AE map here, and I turn it on, and right now, hold on, I can go turn it off. Right now, I can call my friend PK in Sydney, and I'd say, hey, go outside. I can FaceTime him. Show me where the sun is. It's directly above him. Okay, what time is it? It's almost noon. Okay, and it's right there. And then as the sun goes around, I can call another friend over in Western Australia. What time is it? It's noon. And I can call my friend in Johannesburg, and they're like, it's early in the morning. The sun's just rising. And then when the sun gets over there, I say, hey, go out and take a picture of the sun. You know, show me where it is. It's directly over my head. So we can prove all of that. Okay. And so there is something right about this. Now, again, the optics of the sky are no way to prove the shape of the earth. Look at the lights in your ceiling and tell me what shape the floor is. There's no correlation. There's no correlation once you understand that those lights that we see in the sky that they tell us are planets are just lights here within our sky. They're small, they're energetic, they're probably not physical, and they're all named after gods. Okay. Once you understand the lie, listen, you like the movie, the documentary with Keanu Reeves, The Matrix, the first one.
I love that one.
It's a friggin' documentary. Now remember Neo at the beginning. He's in his apartment. He's depressed. Something's wrong with the world. He's just like, something's wrong with the world. He can't figure it out because his mind is plugged into the Matrix. And then jump forward to the end of the movie when Neo takes back who he is, unplugs from the mind matrix, figures out what the world is. It doesn't matter the condition of the world. He unplugged from the lie and he took his power back. Put those two Neos standing next to each other. One of them is a beaten, controllable, lost soul, and the other one knows who he is, where he is, what he is, the power of his mind, and and takes back his power. This is what they don't want. Everything that's going on in the world right now is because people are lost in space, spinning out of control. They have no idea who they are, where they are, what they are, or the power of the mind. They think that they have controllers that can tell them what to do. They work for fake money. We're using their imaginary fake money, and they control us with it. They take it all away. They take 40% of it away, and then they give us 5% back. And we're like, oh, thank you, master. It's all nonsense, right? And once people wake up to this, they're finished. They have no power. We are the many. They are the few. But everyone's like is afraid of them. Everyone is afraid of them because, but here's the thing. Flat Earth researchers wake up to everything, right? I used to wake people up to all of the other deceptions, New York, Boston, Connecticut, all of those crap events, and people go right back to sleep. You wake them up to Flat Earth. Once you see it, look at your wife. Look at her. She knows. She's never coming back to the globe. Never. Okay? The only thing that you can do is educate yourself. Here's the thing. You like Bitcoin? You like cryptocurrency? I'm offering 3 Bitcoins for 1 proof of the globe. If you want to stand strong in your globe shoes, you should be able to give me 1 proof of the globe, and you can't. And people that have been studying this for years trying to do it can't, right? There has to be a reason for that. Why are they lying? And I told you why they're lying. They're lying to keep you plugged into the matrix. So here's my suggestion for you. Don't believe anything I said. Please don't. Right?
Oh, I research everything.
Yeah. So here's something though. If you research Flat Earth, you're not going to find anything. You're going to get all crap. You're going to get garbage, right? You research Flat Earth.
No, you don't. Not from basic searches.
No, like, you can't find the videos. Like A Stranger's Guide to.
I was introduced to Flat Earth back in 2008.
Well, good for you. So, and there wasn't that much information in 2008. In 2014, 15 is when it all started coming out. And there's way more now, but you can't find it. They've literally, our scoreboard, when the term Flat Earth overtook every celebrity and it overtook Donald Trump. And then they took down the scoreboard. Once we passed Donald Trump in searches, they literally took the scoreboard off of YouTube. So you no longer see how many hits there are because it was waking too many people up. So here's my suggestion. If you love your wife, if you don't do it. Is both of you have you guys both have iPhones?
Smartphones.
You both have smartphones. So if you're on the same account, whatever, both of you get the app every day. Just watch the daily video. And then at dinner, whenever you guys hang out, you have a kid. That sounds like you have a kid there, right? Whenever you guys are chilling, discuss the daily video for 2 minutes. That's it. Each day, just discuss the daily video. And you might go, you know what? Today's video sucked. I don't believe it. And I think that's fine. Just do it every day. And after a couple of weeks, you're going to have more questions than you have now. Cheers. Earth is flat. Deal with it. Deal with it. And listen, your wife is only trying to show you what she sees. All right. And before you tell her she's crazy, show me 1 proof of the globe. I have 3 Bitcoins at risk. Right. It's 150 grand. Okay. You're not getting it because there is, well, whatever. I don't look at the price. And eventually it might be worth 0. Who knows? But,
you can build your wall.
So listen to her and research yourself, because once you see it, your life changes. And then you know what? The evil bastards, Satanists, and I'm being nice, that run this world, they know the magic tricks. When I say magic tricks, they literally are wizards. They're casting spells. And once you understand how they do that, they no longer work on you.
I agree with this.
Yeah. When they no longer work on you. It's like if you went to an awesome magician, everyone's in there like, wow. But I showed you how they did all the tricks. You'd be sitting there in the audience with your arms crossed going, this is bullshit. Okay. Once you see that this place is bullshit, the stuff that they put upon us, you see through the tricks. And once you see how they do the tricks, you're like, hey, maybe I'm going to try that in a good way. I'm going to do some good things. I'm going to actually manifest shit in my life that they told me I couldn't do. And you will. And it's amazing. So there you go. And we'll see you at Flattoberfest in October.
By the way, there are people.
I appreciate you, by the way.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to make your relationship with your wife much better, because once you guys are on the same thing, way better. And your kid is going to be a flat earther too. It's going to be, by the time he grows up, everyone's going to be a flat earther. So there you go. So
thank you.
All right, guys. See ya later.
Bye. Have a good night.
All right. Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye.